They say every bond demands a sacrifice. Lyra thought she could hide hers. But the moon sees everything. The forest was quieter the next night, too quiet again. Not even the owls dared to speak. Lyra walked the same path she'd fought on, the earth still wet from the storm. Her chest still burned where she'd touched him, the vampire. Where his heart had beaten beneath her palm. She told herself it meant nothing. That it was a curse, a trick, a mark of her failure. But no matter how she tried, the sound of his heartbeat haunted her, echoing in her own. Lyra, softly, to herself. Why can't I forget you? A whisper broke through the silence. Vail, from the shadows. Maybe because I can't forget you either. She spun around, claws ready, but stopped when she saw him. Vail stepped out from the darkness, no weapon, no threat, just that same sad calm. He shouldn't have been there. If the pack smelled him, they'd tear him apart before dawn. Lyra. You shouldn't have come. Vail, smiling faintly. I was never good at staying away. Lyra. My pack will kill you. Vail. Then let them. If my death means seeing you again, I'll take it. She hated how his voice softened the fire inside her. Hated how her pulse matched his. The blood moon had vanished, but the bond had not. Something ancient linked them now, a mark neither could erase. When she looked closer, she saw it, faint, glowing veins of silver spreading from where she'd touched him. The same pattern shimmered beneath her own skin. Lyra, shaken. What did you do to me? Vail. I didn't. The moon did. When you spared me, it chose us. Lyra. Chose us for what? Vail. For ruin. The howl made her freeze. Her pack was close, closer than she'd feared. From the shadows, a figure emerged. Massive. Fierce. Familiar. Kieran, alpha of her pack. His golden eyes blazed with fury. Kieran, snarling. You smell of blood and sin, Lyra. What have you done? Lyra, stammering. I hunted him. He escaped. Kieran's gaze shifted behind her, to the pale man standing unafraid. Kieran. Escaped. Then why is he standing here, beside you? Vail didn't move. He met the alpha's eyes with quiet defiance. Vail. She spared me. The forest exploded with growls. Wolves surrounded them, her pack. Her family. And she, the hunter, stood protecting the prey. Lyra. Run. Vail. I told you, I'm not leaving you again. Then chaos. The pack lunged. Lyra fought, not for blood, but for him. Claws clashed with claws. Snarls turned to screams. The air filled with silver and crimson. Vail caught her hand mid-battle, their bond pulsing brighter than ever, and suddenly, the forest fell silent again. Wolves froze mid-motion. Even Kieran staggered, his body trembling. Lyra's mark glowed brighter, spreading across her chest like fire. Vail's eyes turned black, and the earth cracked beneath them. Vail. The bond is awakening. Lyra. What does it mean? Vail. It means, if one of us dies, so does the other. Silence fell. Even the wind dared not speak. Lyra looked at the faces of her pack, confusion, fear, betrayal. And then she looked at him, the vampire who had become her curse. In his eyes, she saw not victory, not hunger, but sorrow. Kieran, low growl. You've doomed us all, Lyra. Lyra, whispers. Maybe fate doomed us long before I was born. The mark of betrayal had been written, in blood, in love, and in destiny. And the moon, ever watching, turned away in silence. They thought the mark was a curse. But curses are only chains, waiting for someone brave enough to break them. The night after the battle, the forest reeked of blood and silence. The moon hid behind clouds, as if ashamed of what it had witnessed. Lyra knelt among the ruins, broken trees, burned soil, and the scent of her pack. Gone. Scattered. Her hands trembled as she touched the silver marks crawling up her skin. They pulsed like veins of light beneath her flesh, living, breathing, binding. Lyra, hoarse whisper. What have I done? Vail, from behind her. You saved me. And damned us both. He emerged from the shadows, his body marked like hers, veins of light tracing his pale throat. But where hers shimmered silver, his glowed a deep crimson. This isn't salvation. No. It's connection. He knelt before her, taking her blood-stained hands. The bond between them shimmered like threads of fire. In that moment, she felt his heartbeat again, inside her own. Faster. Stronger. Wild. It wasn't just his life she carried anymore. It was his hunger. A sudden pain tore through her chest. She gasped, fangs cutting through her gums for the first time. What's happening to me? The bond is rewriting you. Her amber eyes flickered, silver bleeding into red. No, no, I'm not one of you. You're not. You're both. Somewhere in the forest, Kieran watched from the shadows, blood streaked across his face. He had survived. And what he saw filled him with horror. His hunter was gone. In her place stood something new, something the world had no name for. Kieran, growling. She's not wolf anymore, and not vampire either. She's the end of us all. Lyra staggered, clutching her chest. The pain turned to power, her claws glowing, her veins burning like molten silver. Lyra. I can feel every heartbeat, every soul. Vail. That's the bond, the curse awakening. He reached for her, but the moment his hand touched her skin, energy erupted, a burst of red and silver light. The earth cracked. The trees bent away from them. The curse had chosen its vessel. And it was no longer content to stay quiet. A voice, neither male nor female, whispered through the forest. Ancient. Cold. Eternal. Blood for love. Love for death. Death for eternity. The air thickened. Vail fell to his knees, blood dripping from his eyes. Lyra, screaming. Stop. Please. The voice only laughed, 1,000 echoes twisting through the night. Then, silence. Lyra dropped beside him, trembling. Her claws were gone. Her breath shallow. Vail, weakly. You're changing faster than I did. What does it want from us? Balance. Or blood. Maybe both. Somewhere beyond the forest, the old ones stirred, the first vampires, the ancient wolves. The bond between predator and prey had been broken once, long ago. Now, it was alive again, and it terrified even them. If fate wrote this, then maybe I can rewrite it. You can't fight the moon. Then I'll burn it. And as the moon broke free of its clouds, red once more. Her shadow stretched beside his, two souls bound in curse and love. The forest trembled under their vow. This was no longer a story of a hunter and a vampire. It was the beginning of an extinction. Love had awakened the curse. And now, the curse would awaken the world. Love had awakened the curse. Now the curse demanded blood. The forest no longer slept, its roots pulsed with red light, and the wind whispered one name over and over. Lyra. Lyra stood on the ridge overlooking the valley. Her once amber eyes gleamed crimson beneath the rising blood moon. The world seemed to breathe with her heartbeat. Lyra, softly. It feels alive. Vail, quiet, worried. It is alive. The curse has linked us to the earth itself. He stepped closer. The crimson glow around him flared when he neared her, two halves of a storm colliding. Lyra. Then the earth will bleed with us. Far below, the ancient ones gathered, cloaked vampires and silver-furred alphas, enemies forced into uneasy alliance. At the center stood Kieran, scarred but alive, clutching the silver talisman that could bind Lyra forever. Kieran, coldly. She's not the hunter I knew. She's something worse. Elder vampire. She carries the first curse. If she awakens the full moon, every boundary between bloodlines will break. Kieran. Then we kill her. Both of them. The sky ignited. The blood moon reached its zenith, painting everything in scarlet light. Lyra fell to her knees, clutching her chest as power surged through her veins. Lyra, gasping. It's burning me alive. Vail, desperate. Let me take it, share it with me. He pressed his hand to her heart, fangs bared in agony. Their combined scream shattered the night. When it ended, they stood hand in hand, eyes blazing the same color. Two souls, one curse. Vail raised her hand to his lips, cutting his palm open. Silver and crimson mingled, werewolf and vampire blood forming a single mark between them. Vail. If the curse must consume us, then let it consume us together. Lyra, fierce whisper. No more fate. No more gods. No more chains. They kissed, blood and breath and fire, and the ground split beneath them. The ancient forest erupted with light. From the shadows, Kieran hurled the silver talisman. It struck Vail's chest, searing through his flesh. Lyra, screaming. No. Vail staggered, crimson light pouring from his wound. The moon flickered. The curse wailed. Kieran, snarling. I told you, Lyra. He'll destroy you. Lyra, tears streaking blood. He is me. The curse exploded outward, a ring of red and silver tearing through the trees, throwing Kieran into the darkness. Silence. Ashes. Vail lay in her arms, barely breathing. Vail, weak smile. Maybe, this is how monsters find peace. Lyra, whispering. Don't you dare. She pressed her hand to his wound, silver light flowed from her fingertips. The mark between them pulsed once, twice, then steadied. And for the first time since the curse began, the moon turned white again. Love had bled. Fate had burned. And from their ashes, something divine was born, a bond neither life nor death could break. But the old ones had seen it. And they were not done. The real war was only beginning. When love defies gods, the world burns. And under the ashes of the moon, two cursed souls fought to stay alive. Ash drifted like snow over the ruins of the forest. Lyra walked barefoot through the smoke, her silver hair stained crimson. In her arms, Vail stirred, weak but breathing. Vail, faintly. It's still night. Lyra. It's morning, but the sun won't rise. The sky's afraid of us now. She laid him against a fallen tree. The bond mark between them shimmered faintly, pulsing in time with their hearts. Every pulse was a promise, and a warning. From the ashes, shapes began to move. Pale eyes. Ancient voices. The old ones. Elder vampire, echoing. Your love has woken the Veil. Do you understand what you've done? Lyra. Yes. I ended your chains. Elder. You ended balance. The air rippled. The spirits of dead wolves and long-slain vampires swirled in a circle around her, whispering, return the blood. Restore the moon. Lyra clenched her fists, silver claws glinting through ash. Lyra. No. I won't surrender him. As she faced the spirits, Vail dreamed. He saw himself beneath the moon, not as a vampire, but human again. Her hand in his, warm and alive. A world unbroken. A love unpunished. He smiled, then saw it crumble to dust. And heard a voice. Voice, soft, ancient. Every love is paid in blood. What will you give, Vail? He opened his eyes, crimson tears running down his face. Vail. Whatever it takes. Lyra turned to find him standing, barely holding himself upright. The mark between them burned like a star. Lyra, urgent. You shouldn't move. Vail. If this curse demands a price, then I'll pay it. Lyra. No. We share it. He touched her cheek, smiling faintly. Vail. That's the problem, Lyra. It never wanted both of us to live. Lyra, shaking. Don't say that. Vail, softly. It's me or the moon. The moon flared blood red again. The spirits screamed. The world trembled as Vail stepped into the crimson light. Lyra, sobbing. Vail, stop. He turned, eyes gentle, sad, infinite. Vail. Remember me not as the curse made me, but as the men who chose you. The mark blazed, silver and red spiraling upward like wings of flame. Light swallowed him. And with his final breath, the curse broke. The sky wept. The moon cracked. Lyra fell to her knees as the ash turned. When the light faded, the moon was whole again, pale, silent, and pure. Vail was gone. Lyra touched her chest, the mark still there, but dim. Lyra, whisper. You promised, forever. A wind stirred. A single white feather drifted down, glowing faintly red at the tip. She smiled through her tears. Lyra. Then I'll find you, in whatever world comes next. And as the first sunlight broke the clouds for the first time in centuries, the ashes of the moon glittered. Like 1,000 tiny souls finally free. Love burned the world. But in its ashes, it left a beginning. The end of the curse was not the end of their story. It was the beginning of a legend. When the moon was healed, the world thought the curse had ended. But curses don't die. They sleep, waiting for love to wake them again. Years passed. The forests grew back, wild and silver under the new moon. Lyra wandered beyond them, through ruins swallowed by vines and forgotten time. Her eyes, once bright, had dulled to pale frost. She spoke little. But every night she felt it, that heartbeat that wasn't hers. Lyra, whispering. Vail. Her voice echoed through the hollow streets. And somewhere in the dark, something answered. In the heart of the forgotten city stood a temple, built from black stone and bone. The air inside shimmered, a veil between worlds. Voice, soft, male. You kept your promise. Lyra froze. The air rippled, and from the shadows stepped Vail, or what was left of him. His skin pale as moonlight, his eyes burning faintly red. Not alive. Not dead. Lyra, shaking. You came back. Vail. Not all of me. He lifted his hand, it flickered like smoke. The bond mark between them glowed faintly once more. Every soul that returned steals light from the world. And the sun had already begun to fade. Lyra. I don't care if it costs the world. I won't lose you again. Vail. Lyra, the curse was never broken, it was traded. My life for the moon's light. Lyra, defiant. Then I'll live in darkness. He smiled sadly. Vail. That's exactly what it wants. The temple began to tremble. From the cracks in the floor, blood seeped upward, forming sigils of light and ash. The voice of the ancient curse rose again, deeper, colder, older. You cannot love without blood. You cannot live without death. You are mine. Lyra stepped forward, eyes blazing. Lyra, furious. No. You had my fear once. Now you'll have my rage. She plunged her hand into the sigil, and light burst around them. Vail screamed, his form dissolving into light. Silence. Lyra collapsed as her body dissolved into silver mist. The temple walls cracked, pouring moonlight into the world. Two souls, once cursed to destroy one another, now merged into something eternal. The bond became a new star, bright enough to turn the night to dawn. Centuries later, storytellers would whisper of the star lovers. A vampire and a werewolf whose love rewrote the laws of life and death. They said when the night grows too long and the moon turns red, you can still hear them. Breathing together in the wind. Love did not save them. It transformed them. And in their eternal nightfall, they became what fate feared most. Infinite. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Only on Black Veil Stories, where love bleeds eternal. The stars remember their names. The world remembers their fire. And when love becomes legend, even eternity listens. It had been centuries since the world last saw the moon bleed. But tonight, beneath a sky split in red and silver, it began again. The temple that once fell now glowed faintly under layers of ash and ivy. Within its ruins, a pulse of crimson light flickered, rhythmic, human. A hand broke through the stone. Then another. Lyra gasped for air as if waking from a 1,000-year dream. Lyra, weakly. Vail. She looked up, and the sky answered her with lightning. For every love reborn, the world must pay its price again. The land was not as she remembered it. Mountains had sunk. Rivers had changed their courses. The air hummed with strange life, neither mortal nor divine. Lyra walked through the wasteland of what used to be her home. Creatures bowed as she passed, wolves with crimson eyes, shadows with beating hearts. Lyra, softly. This isn't the curse anymore. Voice, behind her. No. It's the aftermath. She turned, and there he was. Vail. Unchanged, yet utterly different. His eyes glowed not red, but white, like starlight reflected in blood. Lyra, tears falling. I thought I lost you. Vail, gentle. You did. But you called me back. He reached for her hand, their marks reignited, glowing brighter than before. Vail. Do you feel it? The world is breathing again. Lyra. It's us. We're its heartbeat. They held each other, and for the first time since death, warmth returned to her skin. From the horizon, an army of light approached, robed figures carrying weapons forged from moonlight. The Order of Dawn, a new race born from the fragments of their curse. Commander, calling out. Lyra of the Moon, Veil of the Blood, your love condemned our world to darkness. Now, your lives will restore the dawn. Vail, grimly. They want to finish what fate started. Lyra. Then let them try. The blood mark between them flared. Red and silver intertwining like wings. Love, once their weakness, had become their weapon. The sky erupted in crimson and gold. Vail moved like shadow and lightning, Lyra, like fire and storm. Together they carved through the order, every blow resonating like thunder across the wasteland. But for every enemy they felled, more rose, the world itself turning against its creators. Lyra, panting. We can't win. Vail. We weren't meant to. He gripped her hand tighter. The mark between them pulsed violently, faster, brighter. Vail. Let's end it on our terms. They stood together on the shattered temple, the sun rising red for the first time in eons. Lyra. Vail, if we do this. Vail, softly. There'll be no going back. Lyra. There never was. They kissed, the world holding its breath. Then the mark ignited, a burst of crimson light spreading through the sky, devouring both day and night. And from their final heartbeat came a dawn unlike any before. Neither light nor dark, but something new. The Crimson Dawn. When the light faded, the world was quiet again. No vampires. No werewolves. Only balance. In the new world's heart, two stars glowed, twin flames forever bound. They were born to destroy one another. But love made them creators instead. And though their names faded with time, every sunrise still carries their colors. The silver of the moon, and the crimson of their love. This was the story of Lyra and Vail. The love that defied fate, outlasted death, and painted eternity red. Their ending was only the beginning. Of us. Every ending is a door. And sometimes, love knows how to walk back through it. The night split open like a wound. The two stars, red and silver, began to flicker violently. The heavens trembled. Something ancient stirred, the universe remembering its first sin. Beneath the sky, in a forgotten forest bathed in lunar ash, a child was born. Her cry silenced the wolves. Her blood shimmered with both light and darkness. Old midwife, terrified whisper. Her eyes, one red, one silver. The newborn opened her gaze, and the moon dimmed. Around her, the symbols of the old curse reappeared for a moment, then shattered into dust. They called her Selene. But her soul was not new. That night, a shadow appeared by the cradle, tall, silent, with eyes like frozen stars. Vail's voice, gentle. She carries what we once were. Lyra's voice, faint echo. Then she must never know. Their voices merged into the wind, unseen, eternal. Selene reached out, her tiny hand clutching the air, and the mark of the bond flickered faintly on her wrist. The curse had not died. It had been reborn, in innocence. 15 winters passed. Selene grew into beauty and strength, wild as moonfire, untamed as shadow. She could hear whispers no one else heard. And when she dreamed, she saw them, Lyra and Vail, lovers of the old blood. Selene, in dream. Why do you call to me? Lyra, echo. Because your heart remembers what your soul forgot. Selene, fearful. I don't want their fate. Vail, soft. Then change it. A stranger appeared in her village, dark cloak, crimson eyes, the mark of an old clan carved on his neck. He was searching for the blood reborn. Hunter. Where there's moonlight, there's memory. And where there's memory, there's power. He bowed to her, smirking. Hunter. Found you, my little prophecy. The old world had begun to stir again. And Selene, child of vampire and wolf, daughter of love and ruin, was the key. As thunder split the horizon, the red moon rose for the first time in a century. Selene stood beneath it, feeling the ancient power awaken in her veins. Lyra's voice. Fate gave us blood. You must give it meaning. Selene, raising her hand. Then let it begin again, on my terms. The sky burned crimson. The air split open, and the mark of the bond blazed across the heavens. And thus, the new moon began, not of endings, but of reckoning. The world whispered of a girl with the blood of two enemies. A creature born of love that defied death. They feared her. They worshipped her. And in her eyes burned the memory of two souls who dared to love the impossible. For though Lyra and Vail were gone, their story lived on. In the heartbeat of the child who carried both their legacies. Love once broke the curse. Now, it must survive the rebirth. Every bloodline writes its own prophecy. But the Crimson Heir was never meant to follow one. She was born to rewrite it. The red moon hung heavy that night, its light bleeding across the forest. Selene stood before a pool of dark water, her reflection shifting between faces, her own, Lyra's, and Vail's. Selene, whispering. What am I becoming? Lyra's voice, echoing faintly. Everything the world feared. Everything it needs. The wind rose, and the surface of the water rippled, turning blood-red. The blood of two ancient enemies now pulsed through one heart. A balance too dangerous to exist, too sacred to destroy. Far away, in a stone citadel hidden beneath a dead mountain, a council gathered. Vampires and wolves, once eternal enemies, sat under the same roof, bound by fear. Elder Wolf. The child must not live. She carries the ruin of both clans. Vampire Regent. Or their salvation. You forget what she is, the bond reborn. The chamber trembled as lightning flashed through cracks in the walls. Old grudges had found new life, and her name was Selene. Selene walked through the storm, her cloak soaked, her heartbeat steady. A shadow followed, tall, cloaked, eyes glimmering red under the downpour. Stranger. You shouldn't wander alone, little moon. Selene, coldly. I've never been alone. The stranger smiled, showing faint fangs. Stranger. Ah, the air speaks like her father. Lightning struck, revealing his face. He bore the crest of the Crimson Order. They clashed under the blood rain, claws and fangs meeting fire and steel. Every strike lit the night with flashes of silver and red. It wasn't a fight between enemies. It was fate testing its new heir. Stranger, grinning. You fight like both of them. Selene, snarling. I am both of them. With a cry, she unleashed her power, red and silver light spiraling through the storm, shattering the ground beneath their feet. When the dust cleared, the stranger knelt, defeated. He looked up at her, eyes wide not with fear, but recognition. Stranger, softly. You're the prophecy's answer. Not the end, the balance. He fell silent, the rain washing the blood from his lips. And in that moment, Selene realized she wasn't meant to destroy the curse. She was meant to become it, and make it her own. That night, Selene dreamed of the ancient temple, rebuilt in light and bone. Lyra and Vail stood at the altar, their hands joined, their eyes proud and sorrowful. Lyra. The blood carries us. Vail. The heart frees us. Selene. Then let it end with me." As she spoke, the temple dissolved into starlight, and the red moon above her began to fade into silver. When dawn broke, the crimson hue bled into gold. The world felt lighter, the air no longer trembling with old hatred. Selene stood atop the ridge, the wind lifting her hair. For the first time, she wasn't haunted. She was whole. "Selene, to the wind. I am both curse and cure. And this world will never forget us again." The blood war ended not in death, but in a girl who carried two legacies in one soul. Love had broken the chains. Now, it had crowned its heir. Drop a blood if you felt the power of this chapter, drop a like, share your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe for the final story. The Moon's Last Tear. Only on Black Veil Stories, where love defies eternity. Every love story ends in silence. But the greatest ones echo long after the last heartbeat. This is how the stars remembered them. The world trembled beneath a moon cracked in half, bleeding silver light into the clouds. Selene stood alone at the edge of the mountain, the crimson mark glowing faintly on her wrist. Her parents' voices were gone now, the whispers fading with each sunrise. But the bond still lived inside her, beating like a second heart. "Selene," softly. "If I let the moon die, will their love die too?" The wind answered, carrying an ancient whisper through the air. Lyra's voice, faint. "Not if you remember." In the valley below, armies gathered once more, wolves with silver eyes, vampires with crimson fire in their veins. They no longer fought for blood. They fought for survival. Selene raised her hands, and the night itself bent toward her. Selene, whispering. No more blood for power. No more hate for love. She closed her eyes, and the world went silent. The moon began to collapse, its light pouring into Selene's body like liquid fire. Every heartbeat seared her veins, every breath tore her soul apart. To heal the curse, the air had to give the one thing even love could not replace, herself. Selene, weakly. "Mother. Father. Guide me." From the collapsing sky, two figures appeared, Lyra's wolf form shimmering silver, Vail's vampire wings burning red. They stood behind her, their hands resting over hers. "Vail. We began this together. Lyra. Now we end it, with you." The heavens broke open, and from the fracture fell a single drop of silver light. It struck the earth and bloomed into a tree of crystal, its branches glowing with blood and moonlight. Selene's body began to dissolve into light, her tears falling as stars. "Selene," softly. "I was born from love. And I return to it." The tree pulsed, once, twice, then spread its light across the world. And just like that, every curse vanished. No wolves. No vampires. No hate. Only balance. The sky cleared. The sun rose for the first time without fear of the night. In the fields below, mortals woke, their eyes bright, their hearts unburdened. The legend of Lyra, Vail, and Selene became the world's first dawn. Years later, in a quiet village, children gathered under a glowing silver tree. Their grandmother spoke softly as they touched the crystal leaves. "Grandmother. They say each leaf carries a story, of a love so strong it ended the darkness." "Child, wide-eyed. Were they real?" "Grandmother, smiling. As real as the stars above you." And so, the blood that began in violence ended in peace. The curse that was meant to destroy became the seed of rebirth. And the love that defied gods became eternal. Woven into every heartbeat, every shadow, every moonrise. Love never dies. It transforms. And when the world forgets, the moon remembers. Thank you for walking through every shadow, every heartbeat, every tear of this story. If you felt it, if it touched your soul, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tales from the dark side of love. This was Born to Kill Him, Bound to Love Him, the complete saga. Only on Black Veil Stories. Where legends bleed, and love never dies.